Welcome to Hespler Farms. My name is Wayne Dirksen, and we're pleased that you came to join us today. This is a family farm which was started by my wife's grandfather in 1956. We continue to be a family farm. I farm with my brother-in-law, Richard Hyde, 2 sons and a son-in-law. We farm a variety of crops here at Hespler Farms, but today we are going to focus on potatoes. So let's go. What's unique about potatoes is that we plant some of the smaller potatoes from the previous year's crop. And something that you may not have known, but can see, is that there's a spot on the potato that's indented, which we call the eye of the potato. And that is where the first sprouts will come and form when the potato starts to grow. Optimum sizing for the potato is about a golf ball size like this. Now, not all potatoes come in the golf ball size that we would prefer. Sometimes we get bigger potatoes. Now, because we pay according to weight, it would get very expensive to plant big potatoes. So we have a machine that will cut these bigger potatoes into the more desirable golf ball size, and thereby saving us money and expense when planting. The type of soil in which we grow potatoes in is very important. Not just any soil is suitable for growing potatoes. We have here what's called a sandy loam. And that might be a little bit similar to the sand that you might see in the sandbox. Potatoes need soft soil in order to grow and develop. We put a hill over top of them where it's soft and the potatoes can develop and grow. If it's too hard, the potatoes will go away from the hard soil and they will be exposed to the air and sunlight, and they will become green. And no one likes to eat a green potato. Potatoes use a lot of water, and we have an irrigation system that supplies supplemental water when it doesn't rain enough. We have several different types of irrigation systems on our farm. We have what's called a pivot, we have what's called a lateral, and we have what's called a big gun. The pivot and lateral are systems that move across the field, and with our smartphones, we can adjust our irrigation systems to apply as much or as little water as needed. Potatoes also use quite a bit of nitrogen, and nitrogen gets applied when we plant the seed, and as well as when we are irrigating, we have a pump that will inject nitrogen into the water as we are irrigating the field to make sure that they have enough nutrients. Nitrogen is very important for the foliage. The foliage consists of the leaves and the stems. It helps plants grow big and strong, and it helps with photosynthesis and chlorophyll production. After we plant our potatoes and the potato sprouts begins to make its way out of the soil, the stem begins to develop. At the same time, the root system develops. We are here in our field, and these potatoes have been planted at the end of May, and they have emerged for about 8 weeks. The potato plant can grow up to be about 1 meter tall. As you can see here in the field, we do have some flowers. Now, in a potato plant, the flowers are not responsible for our next year's seed, but they are an indicator of what's happening underground. And we know because it's flowering that we are getting tubers beginning to grow. A little hook begins to develop, and that hook begins to swell. And slowly but surely, it begins to bulk up and become a potato. From this to this, and in fall, we will have some that are about like this. Each variety will develop a different number of potatoes. One of the types of potatoes that we grow on our farm, the red potatoes, which you might get from the grocery store, will develop anywhere from 6 to 12 potatoes under each plant. There are many pests and diseases that do affect the potatoes. On our farm, we try to do many things to help protect our potatoes. Crop rotation is very important to our farm. You cannot just grow potato year after year after year. Otherwise, you have more problems with disease and pests. So crop rotation means year after year, we plant a different crop. On our farm, our crop rotation tends to be potatoes, and then next year we will grow corn, and the year after that will be canola or wheat. And then after that, we will go back into potatoes again. Here in our field right now, we have some Colorado potato beetle larvae, and they like to eat the plant. We call it defoliation because they eat all of the plant and they can kill it. Late blight is an old disease that has been around for a very long time. The Irish potato famine actually occurred because this disease destroyed the crop. We have to spray every 7 to 10 days a fungicide so that we do not get the late blight disease in our fields. On our farm, we try to do many things to help protect our soils. We plant shelter belts. Every year we have been planting 2 or 3 miles worth of shelter belts. And this is to help for erosion control. We sometimes get wind that will move the sandy soil because, as you can see, it's quite light, and this will protect our fields and our crops from the soil from whipping around and damaging the crop. Another thing we do on our farm to protect our soils is we plant cover crops. Now this might look like a weedy mess, and there are some weeds in here, but it's actually a 15 species crop that we use to help develop the soil and to protect from erosion and also to build up the soil organic matter. In the fall, we will till this cover crop and incorporate it into the soil so that it protects the soil throughout the winter, and we have more nutrients and organic matter for next year. To continue to improve the soil on our farm, we are attempting to do something new, which is called regenerative agriculture. We're using cattle in our rotation cropping system. Now the cattle will come and they will graze on the cover crop in a certain paddock, and they will rotate around the field, paddock by paddock, until they come right back to the original starting point. By then the cover crop will have grown and they will begin to eat through the system again. What we really like about this system is the manure, the poop, which gives us a lot of fertility and organic matter for next year's crop. At harvest time, we have to do some special things to get the potato ready to harvest. All the lush green foliage needs to be totally dead so that the plant focuses all its energy into developing the skin and so that it hardens so that we can harvest the potato. We have specific equipment to harvest the potatoes. This machine behind me is called a windrower, and we have 2 of them. The main purpose of this machine is to pick up a row of potatoes, sift the dirt from the potato. The potatoes go on into a back conveyor. That conveyor will transport them over and will drop them into the next rows. The harvester will come and pick up the potatoes, and it'll separate the dirt from the potatoes first. The potatoes continue on through the machine, and it'll separate the vine from the potatoes. The vines continue through the machine and dump back onto the ground. The clean potatoes continue on the conveyor system and will go into the truck box, and then will be transported from the field to our storage. Once the potatoes have been harvested, they are brought to our storage where they are piled in a large pile, and they begin the process of suberization. Suberization is the process when the potato begins to heal itself from the cuts and bruises that may have occurred during the harvest. We help the potato suberize by controlling the amount of moisture and airflow through the potatoes. We have special storages which have computer systems that control airflow through the pile of potatoes. It is important for the potatoes to get air because potatoes breathe. They breathe oxygen and give off carbon dioxide. And during suberization, they do a lot of breathing to help heal their skin. We also control the amount of moisture in the potato pile. They need higher humidity, higher moisture in the air in order to heal faster. We suberize the potatoes at about 10 to 12 degrees Celsius for about 4 weeks. This will help the skin to mature and heal. Once the potatoes have suberized and healed, we lower the storage temperature on the potatoes. Different potatoes require different storage temperatures. French fry potatoes store at about 7 or 8 degrees. Table potatoes that you might find in the grocery store will store at a lower temperature of 3 or 4 degrees. We sell all of our table potatoes to Peak of the Market, which gets sold in your grocery stores. Our processing potatoes, or our French fry potatoes, get sold to Simplot or to McCain. Any of our damaged potatoes we send to cattle farmers for cattle feed, and also to some processing plants which use it to make potato salad and some other products that you might find in the store. We have a whole host of jobs that help support our farm. We have in-house accounting, we have truck drivers, we have mechanics. We have an agronomist that works on our farm who is responsible for going through our potatoes several times a week to look for different diseases and pests, and will come up with a prescription on how to treat the field. Potatoes provide us with a lot of nutrition. There are carbohydrates for energy. There is also dietary fiber, which is very good for your digestive system. They also have a lot of vitamins. They have vitamin B, which is good for energy. They have vitamin C, which is good for wound healing, and potassium for blood pressure and muscle contractions. Thank you for coming to Hespler Farms. I hope you have learned something new today, and maybe tonight for supper you'll be eating one of my potatoes.